Dear Greek students, I want to talk to you a bit about stress and anxiety. It's something we can't get away from, but it's something that is especially now taking control of us when we are busy with exams and busy with university life. So, I want to talk a bit about what stress and anxiety is, how it works, and how we can stay in control. Now, let's talk a bit about the biology behind stress and anxiety. There are some key biological processes. The first thing that happens is there is a threat that is detected. The brain's amygdala detects danger or uncertainty. In your case, it might be the fact that you're writing a lot of exams, you don't know what to do, and you start to panic when you see how much work it is. That will be a threat that is detected. And then an alarm system activates. Your hypothalamus switches on the sympathetic nervous system, that which we call fight or flight. And now you are starting to get anxious. And now hormones are released. Adrenal glands release adrenaline, if it's a fast response, and cortisol causes a longer stress response. And you can look there what happens when there is usually some sort of a trigger. Oh no, I have a lot of work to do. I don't know how I'm going to cope with it. Then you go to the amygdala and the hypothalamus. The amygdala detects the danger or the uncertainty, and the hypothalamus puts you into fight or flight mode. Then you go over to your autonomic nervous system. Your pupils dilate. You get a dry mouth. We should not think that stress or anxiety is only something in our minds. It affects our physical wellness as well. It affects how our bodies react. The body changes, as we have just said. You get a faster heartbeat, rapid breathing, muscle tension, increased alertness. And if prolonged, you can get chronic stress that keep your cortisol levels high, something that is very much dangerous. And this may contribute to anxiety, sleep problems, fatigue, concentration difficulties, and emotional sensitivity. So I think you can see how dangerous stress and anxiety can be, because everything starts with a trigger. There's a specific trigger, and the trigger causes all of these things to happen. Your mind goes over into panic mode, it releases hormones, this causes changes in your body and in your mind, and if you find yourself again, then you have chronic anxiety and you can't sleep. Important brain areas we've discussed is the amygdala that detects the threat or the fear, the prefrontal cortex that is responsible for rational thinking and calming, the hippocampus, which is responsible for memory and context. And then when we look specifically at anxiety disorders, the amygdala can become overactive while the prefrontal cortex may struggle to turn down the alarm system. So when you are struggling with chronic anxiety, the part of your brain that is supposed to think logically and is supposed to calm you down is taken over by the hippocampus. Sorry, not by the hippocampus, but by the amygdala, which is then overactive. And the amygdala is the thing that detects fear. So fear is detected more rapidly and more easily, and the part of your brain that is responsible for rational thinking is not working properly. So the difference between stress and anxiety, you can look a bit at the picture, but stress says something difficult is happening now. I'm struggling with my work now. I have a lot of learning to do now. But anxiety says something bad might happen. It's future orientated. But that's also applicable to you guys, because you might think, what if I fail my exams? What if something terrible happens with my calling? And now I am talking about what is called a holistic response to stress and anxiety. It means what are a few things you can do before we look at a biblical response. First of all, exercise. Now, to exercise, you don't need to go to the gym or jog. You can do something as simple as walking around and um, just going on a 2 kilometer walk. That already releases the necessary endorphins for you to feel better. A second thing you can do is practice mindfulness. Mindfulness is not meditation. Mindfulness is just being present in the moment. Sometimes take a bit of a break from the work that you are doing. Go sit outside. Make a conscious effort to hear the chirping of the birds, to smell the flowers, to feel the feet underneath your ground. Sometimes to help with this, you can do relaxation exercises. Lie down on your bed. Slowly feel as your toes are getting calmer, your legs are getting calmer, your body is sinking away into the pillow. You can also do this by visualization exercises. I am walking in a calm forest. I hear the trees, I hear the wind, I hear the birds, I smell the trees and the leaves, and I hear the babbling brooks of a river at the end. I see a beautiful tree. I see a rabbit hopping across the street. Sometimes this can help. Another thing, social interaction. Don't get so mixed up in your work that you forget to hang out with friends. And then creativity. Get yourself a book, a coloring book, or a book in which you can draw. Even though you're not good, creativity goes a long way in dealing with stress and anxiety. And then we are coming to a biblical response to stress and anxiety. And I thought it only good, since you are Hebrew and Greek students, that we are going to look at some Hebrew and Greek words. Psalm 46 verse 10 says, "Be still and know that I am God." The word for be still is rapha, and that means to drop something. It means you are holding tight something in your hand, and God tells you, let it go and let me handle it. So the message of Psalm 46 is that if you have something that is troubling you, take it to God, drop it, realize that you are not God. You do not have to take care of everything in your life. Rather, God cares for you, not the other way around. And an exercise you can try to do this is get yourself a jar, like an old mayonnaise jar or whatever it may be. Write down your fears and place it in the jar. And then you consciously tell yourself, I have dropped this thing that I am worried about. It is in God's hands now. It is not in my hands anymore. Then we get to the beautiful passage of Matthew 11, verse 28 to 30. Come to me, all you who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Here you can see something which you are going to study later while you are becoming a future minister, is to break up a passage into a organized structure. There's an invitation. Come to me. Jesus invites you. Then we see there are certain people who are invited. Those who are weary and heavy laden. Heavy laden is in the perfect tense. It's a perfect participle, which means it can be translated as those who feel constantly burdened. Bring your mess to Jesus. He can deal with it. And then the content of the invitation. I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, because I am gentle and lowly in heart. And we will look now at what some of these words mean. When Jesus says, come to me, it is a gracious invitation where he says, everything that is a mess in your life, bring it to me. Those who labor means those who tire, or those who wear themselves out. Now, it most specifically within the context refers to the fact that the people were under a heavy legal burden from the Pharisees, and they were not able to keep the law perfectly. But it has a universal application. All who wear themselves out, no matter what wears them out, if it's academics or if it's stress or if it's family problems, Jesus invites you to take your mess to him. The word heavy laden can mean to load on a ship, and in a transfer sense, to burden oneself. And in an eschatological sense, it refers to all burdens. Whatever burdens you, which weighs heavy on you, Jesus invites you to take it to him just as it is. When Jesus says he is gentle, he says, I am friendly, I am understanding, I am welcoming. When he says I am lowly, it means that I have a low status in this world. I am not a king or someone very important you have to grovel to or come on your knees to. I am welcoming. I welcome you to come to me. Of course, he is the king of the universe, but he took on the role of a slave. and he says, I welcome you. And to take my yoke upon you, look at the image on the right. Think of the image of two oxen. These yokes were fastened to two oxen. And now one ox was usually very strong and experienced, while another ox was weak and young. Now see Jesus as the strong and experienced ox, and you are the weak ox. The strong, experienced ox makes it easier for the young and the weak ox to carry the heavy burden. And that's what Jesus does for you. Look at the structure of Philippians 4, verse 5b to 8. Ho Kyrios egus, the Lord is near. There's a command with regards to anxiety. Be anxious about nothing. Then there's a solution with regards to anxiety, but in everything, by prayer, supplication, and thanksgiving. In other words, Matthew Henry says, the one who wants to be anxious about nothing prays about everything. Supplication means open your heart, rip open your chest, and make known to God what you need. And the thanksgiving part is also important. You always tell God, I thank you, even before you hear my prayer, that you are going to do with this prayer what you see fit. Then the result of practicing the solution and the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding. The world cannot understand how we have this peace, but it will guard you, not only your hearts, but also your minds. And then what to do now? Finally, loipon, focus on the positive. Here is some commentary from Matthew Henry. Here is a caution against disquieting, perplexing care. Be careful for nothing. In the Greek, meden merimnate. The same expression in Matthew 25, take no thought for your life. That is, avoid anxious care and distracting thought in the wants and difficulties of life. To be careful for nothing, so as by your care to distrust God and unfit yourselves for his service. This anxiety which is being spoken about is not a healthy care. We should be concerned about things in a healthy way. For example, when you are concerned about your exam, something healthy to do is study. An unhealthy thing to do is to stress so much about it that you don't trust God anymore. And that is what this anxiety refers to. It refers to something that wants to tear you apart. And God said, anything that wants to tear you apart, you must bring to me in prayer, supplication, and you must thank me that I am going to do with it what I see fit. The one who wants to be anxious for nothing must pray about everything. Matthew Henry. And then our own beloved Prof. Stoker said, when you have given over your cares to God, you must focus on whatever is positive in your life. And then here are some prayers for anxiety. Take a screenshot. It comes from the 2019 Anglican Book of Common Prayer, but it is very much applicable. And that's that for our small discussion on stress and anxiety.